Hi, my name is Susan Ballinger. I am one of the editors for JICB, and I'm very excited to be talking today with Laurent Cammarata and Pádraig Duibhir, who are recent guest editors for JICB in Volume 13, Issue 1. The topic of their special issue was emerging issues in content-based minority language immersion education. And so we are very excited to hear more about this topic and their work within this topic. So my first question for the two of you is, what made you interested in this, makes you so interested in this topic? Why do you think it's important for the broader field of content-based language teaching?
But
So
from my point of view, my main research interest has been in the Irish language, which is clearly a minority language. And much of the second language acquisition research has dealt with English and other major languages. And I think it's important that we investigate minority language to see if the same findings pertain to minority languages as well.
yeah, thank you. Laurent?
Yeah, so I'm particularly interested in minority language education because my scholarship is grounded in the Canadian context. And in the Canadian context, French is learned in many regions as a minoritized language. So in Canada, for those who don't know, maybe minority language education serves a dual purpose. It not only contributes to the revitalization and sustainability of French in minority settings, but also supports bilingualism in a country where two official languages are central to the national identity. So bilingualism is not only an individual asset, it also means a strengthening of social cohesion across diverse communities. So it's a very important topic for me
Yeah,
and my colleagues. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. And what were the objectives of your special issue?
Well, as editors, previous editors of the JICB, we wanted to give space to researchers to highlight emerging issues, and particularly in minority language education. And we invited research to an ILA symposium in Lyon in 2023 to present the emerging research findings. And then the special issue was to give them a more formal and a larger space to present their findings, which was very exciting for us.
Yeah. So, what do you think are some of the main issues within minority language education right now? Laurent, would you like to start?
Oh, yeah, sure. I didn't know you
Hmm.
wanted me to start. So, in Canada, at least, the makeup of the immersion programs have changed dramatically over the last 20 years. It used to be very homogeneous. The classrooms used to be very homogeneous, with the majority of students being Anglophone students, which were the first target. But then over the last 20 years, there's been a lot of changes in the population through immigration, especially over the 10 years back. And so the classes have been transformed dramatically, and the languages are multiple now in the classroom, and the challenges are much greater. So I think there is a real need to address these changes. And there are also other common challenges that have emerged, and I think common to the Irish context and other contexts across Europe and Asia, especially when it comes to responding to the needs of the special educational needs of students, because these programs have actually grown to a point that now they are like, at least in Canada, the program have really, the growth of the programs have been incredible. So uh, we we lack of teachers, we lack of resources, we lack of a ton of things. So, and I think these are areas that are rarely tackled. For my part, I tend to see research that is more focused on trying um, to bring a positive lens on immersion, and I don't see much research that really tackles complicated and difficult questions. And so
Hmm.
that was something that I was interested in getting into. Yeah,
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 great.
it's politically sensible, so it's difficult sometimes to
Hmm.
undertake as a research. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Or
I suppose following on from Laurent, one of the issues that we looked at in our own article was that of attrition, and some of the contribution to attrition from immersion programs is that parents are often counselled that their children should move to an English or the home language track because they have special education needs, or there's a view among some people that immersion education and content-based programs are not suitable for students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds and so on. And so that's an area I think that we need to conduct far more research with larger sample sizes, which can be difficult, particularly with special education needs to access to large population samples. But in order for, I think, immersion education to be accepted as a mainstream form of education, we need to have those issues investigated and tackled, as it were, in order to dispel some of the myths that exist among parents and among those who are not close enough to the programs, I think. So they would be the motivations, I think, and the areas that need further research.
Yeah, and that seems to be an area that needs further research across many different contexts as well. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that you haven't already had a chance to talk about in relationship to minority language education and future research in this area?
Yeah, if I can rebound and speak to that, to me, another major issue is teacher preparation. So there's still no strong consensus regarding the specific professional knowledge base immersion or bilingual teachers require, and that's not only a Canadian issue. I think it's everywhere. And this lack of clarity leads to inconsistent preparation and lack of common professional standards, especially in Canada. There are such a variety of teacher preparation programs, and they can vary extremely, have like very different makeup, as you know, Susan, because we looked into this carefully, you and I and your team. And this is something that will need to be addressed in the future if we want teachers to be better prepared to respond to the needs of the students that are incredibly more diverse nowadays. And the major issue for me right now that I'm looking at is finding ways to we make promises to families in Canada. At least we tell them, well, immersion programs are for all children, inclusive of those who are at risk. And we have a lot of research that actually show that these students can succeed in immersion programs. And so I'm a personally I'm a believer of this, but at the same time, they can only succeed if we have the means to assist them and to provide them the needs, the support that they need. So it's something that is really problematic nowadays, and the teachers are not really well prepared also to be able to handle that diversity and those diverse needs. So I think this is something that we will really need to look at in the future. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and well, I can't agree more with that.
Mhm.
I know that
Mhm.
we really have our work cut out for us with teacher preparation in this area.
Mhm.
Um, Before we go,
But
I do want to let you both know that you seem to have really been this special issue seems to have been quite inspiring for educators and other researchers, because I can say that after this came out, we did get an increase in submissions from minority language contexts.
Mhm.
And
This is
I
good.
also was reached out to from an educator who was hoping to connect with other minority language educators in Europe based on this special issues. So it really
Oh,
did. I think
so
you did
glad.
meet some of your at least some of those objectives and
Mhm.
editing it. So thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time today, and we look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
thank you, Susan.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Susan.